Oh boy, the Indiana Fever must see TV. The greatest, the most exciting basketball you have and will ever see. That's all a lie. It used to be true. You know when it was true? I mean, I can't believe I'm saying this, but it was true when Christy Sides was in charge. It was true when Christy Sides was the head coach of the Indiana Fever. And the more that I think about it, the more that I see what has happened since, the more that I hear and learn about Amber Cox and Kelly Krauskopf and Stephanie White and Lynn Dunn, the more I believe Christy Sides was not fired for the pre-Olympic Indiana Fever performance. She was fired for the post-Olympic Indiana Fever performance. She was fired because she decided to give the keys to the offense to Caitlin Clark. She decided to let Caitlin Clark be Caitlin Clark. And they said, "Oh, no, 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 we cannot have that. That is too good. Caitlin Clark is not someone that we can allow to excel in the WNBA. It is unacceptable. She doesn't check the boxes. We're jealous of as hell of the fact that she is so damn popular. We have to neuter her. We have to diminish her. How do we do that? Well, we're going to bring in Stephanie White, one of the worst basketball coaches in the WNBA history, who was also flipped, right? Happily married to a man of the same race. And boy, did she flip. She went women. She went woke activist. She went Caitlin Clark hater. We know Carolyn Peck was her coach. Then she hired Carolyn Peck when she was at her Vandy for her absolutely disastrous 5+6 year stint at Vandy, where she completely, utterly destroyed and gutted that program. Players were fleeing because they hated playing for Stephanie White. She is the Cheryl. Y'all want to talk about Cheryl Swoops and her college experience. Look into Stephanie White. This is why they never talk about her time at Vandy. They only talk about her very selective time in the WNBA, when twice she inherited great teams and only stayed there for a couple years and left because that was when it was all going to fall apart. So what about last night? Here's what we saw. Here's what Stephanie White has done. She has taken actual must-see TV, which is what Caitlin Clark has been since her time at Iowa. It is what she was her rookie year. We even saw it last year, not often because, again, she was playing with injuries the entire time. But it's interesting that we got this New York Liberty game because we all know that was really the last time in the WNBA we truly saw Caitlin be Caitlin. We got a glimpse earlier this season. We got a glimpse. And then that got smacked down, right? The more I think back, the more I am convinced Christy Sides got fired because she let Caitlin be Caitlin. No doubt in my mind. Caitlin missed that game because she was benched. But the Indiana Fever did not have the cojones to come out and say they were disciplining Caitlin Clark and they were benching her. Last night was a disaster. Last night was everything that we've been talking about in one game. And what's crazy, and this is why I keep reminding people when they say, oh, you're just crashing out. Oh, it's just one game. It's not. But I will say this. This is a team that can still win because I've said it before in terms of their talent, right? They have a ton of talent. And so they can win games because there are no superstar teams in this league. They still, now they were all terrible last night, but they still have Aaliyah Boston, and we can talk about all the limits of Aaliyah Boston's game. But again, relatively speaking, that's what matters. She is one of the best centers in the WNBA. Now, what that says about the W, I don't know. But she was terrible last night in every facet of the game. Kelsey Mitchell was terrible last night in every facet of the game. Kelsey Mitchell has had maybe one game where she's been a net positive for this team. And people don't want to talk about that because they just want to look at her points when she takes over. But that is all that she offers. So if she can't do like she did the other night when she was 11 of 15, she is a net negative. And last night, she was absolutely terrible for the Indiana Fever. And down the stretch, abysmal. A lot of people were like, did Kelsey Mitchell bet the under? Did Kelsey Mitchell put some bets on this game that she was controlling? Because that may be the worst performance I've ever seen from Kelsey Mitchell, but we're going to get more and more of that in Stephanie White's offense. It is also one of the worst performances I've ever seen from Caitlin Clark. There was nothing about her game last night that is going to have anybody wanting to tune in to watch her. They simply don't, because there was nothing about last night's performance where Caitlin Clark was Caitlin Clark. And again, it still goes back to the league because she had what, 7 boards, 9 assists. She only had 10 points. She shot 4 of 14. Of course, Kelsey Mitchell shot 7 of 21, missed wide open lay. The entire team missed about 87 layups. So again, there's that. Despite how terrible it was, they still could have won this game. And I haven't gotten started on the officiating. The New York Liberty shooting 40 free throws, the Indiana Fever shooting 15, which is another thing. And I've been collecting some video and clips that we're going to break down in another one. I want to be specific about it in terms of the calls that Caitlin Clark is not getting offensively and the calls going against her defensively. Once again, 5 fouls last night. Caitlin Clark is averaging like 4 or 5 fouls per game in the last 6 or 7 games. Caitlin Clark, well, I shouldn't say never. Even all players that don't get into foul trouble have those games. But, Caitlin Clark was one of those players in her entire college career and even in her rookie year in the WNBA. She just doesn't get into foul trouble, right? She's just one of those. And I get it. I was one of those. I had a game here or there, but I was one of those that, I mean, if I ever got more than 2 fouls in a game, by the way, yes, I did defend. I was a good defender. Um, it would be a shocking thing, right? So that tells you a lot because Caitlin Clark hasn't, and I don't want to hear, oh, well, she's ISO'd more and this and that. Yeah, that's true. But again, you look at the film, and a lot of these calls against Caitlin Clark are literally she's not touching anyone, but they're still calling fouls against her. And when you put a star offensive player, in foul trouble early, it completely changes everything about the game. But the Fever they were what? I mean, they got outscored 29-18 in the fourth. So, I mean, they were winning going into the fourth. But listen, 25 points in the first and then 15, 17, 18. Trash offense. No one wants to watch it. By the way, quick shout out, though. The one bright spot, Monique Billings finally got off the schneid, so to speak. 6 of 7 from the field, 8 rebounds, 15 points, played 35 minutes. One thing I said about Monique Billings, I think I put this out the other day, is because a lot of people are getting on her, and I get it. But look, they gave her the contract, and they knew that she was a career backup, a good backup, but a career backup. And they brought her in to start at the 4, and she's not even a stretch 4, and there's all of that. But it's also true that Monique Billings, as a player, is going to thrive a lot more with Caitlin Clark playing Caitlin Clark's read and react than she is within Stephanie White's system. No one thrives in Stephanie White's system except for really Kelsey Mitchell because she lets Kelsey Mitchell do whatever she wants. And last night, Kelsey Mitchell was the Kelsey Mitchell. She was a disaster. She was the Kelsey Mitchell that's been losing her entire career. The Kelsey Mitchell, everyone wants to talk about Kelsey Mitchell this, Kelsey Mitchell that. Well, when we're going to get into winning, Kelsey Mitchell doesn't win. Kelsey Mitchell's never won until we got Aaliyah Boston, number 1 pick overall. The next season got Caitlin Clark, the number 1 pick overall. That is what Kelsey Mitchell, being your go-to player, got the Indiana Fever. Back-to-back number 1 picks. That's what Kelsey Mitchell brings to the table. Supermax, this may be the worst contract in the WNBA, giving Kelsey Mitchell a super max. Followed closely by giving Boston $6.3 million over 4 years. That is a problem as well. Lexi Hall, I won't say Lexi was ineffective, but yeah, this was top to bottom a disaster. But this is what the Indiana Fever are going to look like with Stephanie White's offense. And here's what's really concerning that I'm hearing from a lot of people. And I know no one wants to accept this yet, but I see it in the comments more and more on these videos. I get more and more messages from people privately are like, they're getting a little irked at Caitlin Clark too, because they're feeling like Caitlin Clark is, and concerned, to be fair. They're seeing her body language, they're seeing how she's acting. She's getting more chippy with the referees more quickly, and they all think that's because of this offense she's being put into, but they fear that she's accepting it, that she's getting beat down, and she's like, she's kind of accepting her role. She's been completely brainwashed by Stephanie White, and she's just going to be a cog in the wheel. But here's the problem with Caitlin Clark being a cog in the wheel. No one wants to watch it. And it is going to take a while. Like, don't make no mistake. Ratings are going to continue to go for a while. Caitlin Clark's got a lot of loyal fans. and we can all hope that it turns around, right? Like I'm still covering. I still want to see Caitlyn be Caitlyn, but you've got people who have concerns about it, and I get it. And yes, people will leave. That's the thing, and it may not be a stampede. It may be a few here, a few there over time. Because as much as they love Caitlin Clark, they don't have any interest. In fact, I think a lot of the hardcore fans may be the first to leave because it breaks their heart to see what the WNBA and Stephanie White have done to Caitlin Clark, right? Think about that. It's like the more you care about Caitlin Clark, the more you're invested where it's not just, oh, she's entertaining. I enjoy watching her. It's, I've seen everything at Iowa. I've seen her career progress. I've watched so many clips of Caitlyn as Caitlyn. I've seen so many interviews. They're like, I like Caitlin Clark. I got there because of those logo threes, but I like Caitlin Clark, and it breaks my heart to see her like this. And those people may be the first to leave. They may be the first to come back if things change, but they may be the first to leave because they just can't watch this type of game as much as the more casual Caitlin Clark supporters be like, well, I'll keep tuning in because any night we might see Caitlin be Caitlin, right? At some point, she's going to be like, F you, Stephanie White. I'm me, and I'm going to be me, and that's the way we're going to win, and that's the way we're going to get fans. Because I do think one thing Caitlin Clark does understand still is that ultimately, yes, it's about winning, but it's also entertainment, right? Sports is entertainment. No different than movies being entertainment. And I've said this before, it's probably been a while, but everyone's busy. Everyone has limited resources, time and money, and a whole lot of entertainment options. Something that Hollywood hasn't quite, I shouldn't say figured out, I should say remembered. Hollywood seemed to have forgotten that. We've got a few years of just some of the worst movies you could ever possibly watch, and maybe they're figuring it out now because people are like, "Hey, you know what? I've got other things to do with my money. I don't need to go to the movies." But anyway, let's see. We got Aaliyah Boston 6 of 15, Kelsey Mitchell 7 of 21, Caitlin Clark 4 of 14. Right, no one shot well. Sophie Cunningham taking only 2 shots in 17 minutes is ridiculous. And I guess Raven Johnson's going to be the offensive juggernaut now, jacking up 7 shots in 17 minutes. Is that where we're getting? Yeah, that ain't good. And by the way, I won't go through a ton, but I just had a few here. The Indiana Fever. Now it's happening on everything, but right, the one they posted about the final score, they just posted the final in the graphic, and we've got things like Boston looks like she's sorry there's a game. She's soft in the paint, runs like her feet hurt, tired and lost. Kelsey, WTF. Mitchell, terrible. Shame on all of them. Everyone's anger is so focused on the front office, the old bag Dunn and Stephanie White, that they are forgetting about the head of this effing snake, Herb Simon. It's time we point that crap to him. Only then will things change. Yeah, I don't think Herb cares, and I don't think he's running things anymore. I think his son is. Steph White has made the most exciting offensive player in the WNBA a decoy. LMAO, F this trash boycott. This is the coaching staff and front office. You all should be ashamed and embarrassed. Losers. Work this one, Fever PR scum. Mitchell was the best player for the Liberty, so go put lipstick on that pig. Yeah, I tweeted that out last night during the game. I said that Liberty MVP was Kelsey Mitchell, especially down the stretch. That is, and I'm not kidding. Like you're hating on Kelsey. No, Kelsey Mitchell was objectively terrible. She cost as much as everything else was going wrong. Kelsey Mitchell cost this team the game down the stretch. She cost this team the game. Kelsey Mitchell was missing easy layups. Kelsey Mitchell was putting her head down, dribbling all over the place, chucking up junk. Kelsey Mitchell was exactly what I said the problem with Kelsey Mitchell is. And when she's not lighting it up, shooting 70% from the field like last game, she offers nothing to this team. Nothing. This is where people get too focused on the surface numbers. Oh, Kelsey Mitchell put 22 points. Yeah, and Kelsey Mitchell's she did, that's I made up that number. I'm just saying that's an in general statement. That's not, Kelsey Mitchell has put up 22 points. Oh, Kelsey Mitchell's the best player on the Fever. No. Kelsey Mitchell is a net negative for this team. Fire your coaching staff. Coaching embarrassment. Schemes are making the players play out of position and worse collectively. At what point do you recognize the style of play is not going to work? I feel sick. Glad I wasted another Saturday night on this boring product. I would have never thought that pre Stephanie White. And that is going on and on and on. Yeah. Here's the thing again with the offense. Caitlin Clark again off the ball. Now I want to go back to the injuries for a second too, right? We talk about Caitlin Clark's injuries. Stephanie White is always talking about how we want her off ball because of that and so forth. And again, I've said this before. Caitlin Clark being off ball, setting screens on players bigger than her does not decrease wear and tear. It does not decrease risk of injury, and in fact, increases it. This offense, as bad as it's looking with Caitlin Clark playing the Stephanie White system, it's so much worse when she's not on the court. It is some of the most unwatchable basketball you will ever see. It's the Connecticut Sun, y'all. This is the Connecticut Sun. Stephanie White has turned the Indiana Fever. She has turned the Showtime. Sorry, Lakers. Please, I apologize. Please let me use it in this moment because we all know what it means when I say that. And that's who the Fever were post Olympic break 2024. And by the way, Kelsey Mitchell and Lilia Boston were getting theirs. Let's not forget when you allow Caitlin Clark to beat Caitlin Clark, everybody freaking eats. And they eat a hell of a lot more. And it's a lot easier to get the food. It's a damn free buffet. It ain't no buffet now, man. They are in the mud. They are in the mud. And it's unwatchable. You have a system that seems designed to be bad basketball. Stephanie White cannot coach. Can I say it again? Stephanie White cannot coach. I don't want to hear about Stephanie White's coaching ability. I do not want to hear about Stephanie White having Caitlin Clark's back. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's all a lie. It's all a bunch of people out there cashing checks and simping who hate Caitlin Clark and they want to gaslight and lie to you until you are convinced that maybe you are the one who is wrong and you just need to accept that Caitlin Clark's not that good and Stephanie White knows what she's doing. Nonsense. I mean, at one point, I think it was Caitlin Clark's defending against Brianna Stewart. I think when she had four or five fouls defending against Brianna Stewart. Brianna Stewart's driving. She gets no help. How do you not have help in the lane when you have Brianna Stewart driving to the basket against Caitlin Clark? Now, to be fair, it actually doesn't even matter who's covering Brianna Stewart, but how you have no help because it wasn't like this great move and she's exploded to the hoop. Brianna Stewart can't explode. She went slowly down the lane. I mean, she didn't even really truly beat Caitlin Clark. It was more, well, I have a huge size advantage over this defender, so I'm just going to physically get myself to the rim, draw contact, and go to the free throw line. Smart play by Brianna Stewart. Absolutely incompetently inept BS by Stephanie White and her so-called system. She may be the worst defensive coach I've ever. I mean, she's the worst, period. She has no offense. She has no idea how to put together an effective offense. How you don't do that with Caitlin Clark is insane. And her defense is even worse. She's a crappy defensive coach. She doesn't know a damn thing about basketball, and I'm tired of hearing that she does. Y'all are a bunch of freaking lying lunatics talking about Stephanie White this and Stephanie White that. You can take Stephanie White and beep, beep, deep breath. Do y'all realize what Caitlin Clark did to the WNBA, right? Think about this. Her rookie season, what happened? One of the things we saw that was exposed was the crappy coaching in the WNBA, right? The crappy, outdated, old bully ball physicality system crap that was the entire league, that was unwatchable, that was outdated. And Caitlin Clark, Caitlin Clark changed all of that. Some teams were like, well, we got to go get different coaches. We got to go get modern coaches. We got to go get some male coaches. No more Teresa Witherspoons. Sorry, there are some good females. You know, UCLA coach. I would love to have her with Caitlin Clark. Duke, she gets it. I'd love to have her with Caitlin Clark. We know that I'm a fan of Sandy Brundello being with Caitlin Clark. And again, to be fair, I'm going to give Christy Sides her props, man. I don't care what y'all say because she understands what it takes with Caitlin Clark, even if she has other limitations as a coach. Not only did we get a modernization of the coaching, but we got the league shifting to what I kept saying when Caitlin Clark came into the league with what I was seeing after. What one of the things the WNBA needed was to go from the old, big, slow, unathletic, unskilled, physical bodies that excelled in the WNBA to quicker, faster, more athletic, more explosive guards leading the way and playing more up tempo. And that shift right there was going to be huge for the league. And you're seeing that elsewhere. Not enough. And I said, it's going to be a process, right? It's going to take most of Caitlin Clark's career for that changeover to happen, but it's happening. Olivia Miles is a good example, right? Sonia Citron is a good example. You're seeing that type of stuff happen in the WNBA. And by the way, I'm going to shout out Kelsey Plum, who was here before Caitlin Clark, but she's kind of one of those first ones too. Sabrina Ionescu, right? This freedom of movement thing would be great if they actually called it properly, but we don't. We know that was used to diminish Caitlin Clark. And here's the kicker: the rest of the league reacted because Caitlin Clark was so insanely dominant her rookie year. The rest of the league recognizing like we got to modernize. We've got to go get different coaches, a different era of coach, and we also have to go completely change up our players as well so that we can play a system like the one I just mentioned, play a style like the one I just mentioned, and play it well. And the Indiana Fever said, hold my beer. Y'all go do that. We're going to go the other direction. We're going to get Stephanie White and we're going to go backward to old, slow, physical, outdated bully ball. I don't even know what we're going to call. What are we even calling Stephanie White's system anymore? Crap? Is that what it is? It's just crap. It's the stuff oozing out of a clogged toilet. You got a better way to describe it. Oh, and then we're gonna surround Caitlin Clark with the type of players that are the opposite of what she needs. Stretch four, anyone? Where's Justine Bassat? Why is she not playing? You've got a 6'4" guard who can play inside. She's got the moves in there, who's quick for her size, who's athletic, who can run the floor, who can shoot the frickin' three as well as anyone on this team. It is insane to me that she is on a development contract when I look at some of the players on this team. It is one of the worst roster constructions I have ever seen. And they did it last year too. So that's where you're like, well, how is it not on purpose if they keep doing it? How can you have such sheer incompetence from a front office and a head coach? It is wild. And here's the other thing. I want to leave it with this. There's so much more I could say, but this is getting kind of long, and I've just kind of been riffing off the things I've been thinking about off the top of my head since that game. I said this earlier in the season, right after even only a few games. I said, forget MVP. I said, not only to forget MVP, Caitlin Clark may very well not be an all-star this season. And I get how that sounds. That's crazy. But y'all got to keep in mind, fan vote is not it. It is part of it, and it is not enough. And there are a whole lot of reasons to not vote Caitlin Clark an all-star. Think how that narrative is going to play in the media, especially when you know what they can do because they have that kind of power. Just because of her rebounding, they can make Angel Reese an all-star. Think of where that narrative's going to go. Angel Reese, third year, three-time all-star WNBA. Caitlin Clark, not even an all-star this year, which of course makes her not the best player on the team. Man, anyway, I could go on and on about this. Hopefully, y'all got something out of it. I know I was just kind of riffing on all these things I'm thinking about in terms of what I'm seeing with the Indiana Fever and what could happen going forward. But That was not pretty. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, so much appreciate you being here. Like, comment, subscribe. See, I was so worked up. I didn't even mention any of that at the beginning of the video, and there's probably only like 2 of you left right now. But hey, I will talk to you later.